I have lots of fragrances in my collection that will easily last until the next full moon, but I don't necessarily love the way they smell. The fragrances in this video last longer than I need them to, and they smell amazing. Imagine that. Why is this important? Well, personally, if I'm gonna commit to smelling like a particular fragrance all day long, I better love that scent from top to bottom, because I gotta live with it. These fragrances are not necessarily the most high projecting or most paint peeling fragrances that I own, because I don't functionally enjoy fragrances like that on a regular basis. Regardless of all that, if I'm gonna concern myself with performance, which I seldom do, I am much more concerned with longevity than I am with projection. Why? Because we can actually measure longevity. We use time. We cannot reasonably measure projection, even though we try. We try to measure it in distance, and I think that's one of the silliest things that has ever happened to fragrance reviewing.
Yeah, I find that it radiates about 2 feet from me.
How do you find that? Who's measuring this? My point of all of this whole preamble is that even if no one else can smell one of these fragrances, which is unlikely, as long as I get some wafts here and there throughout the day, I'm chilling. Final caveat. It should go without saying that I am not in any way guaranteeing that you will have the same experience with these fragrances that I have. Try them if they sound interesting to you as far as their smell goes. And if they do happen to perform up to your standards, then it's just a bonus. Everything will be linked in the description if you want to check them out. Let's dive right into it. First one up here, we're going with a brand new release from the house of Loumari. I was eagerly anticipating this one because even just the bottle looks amazing. I think they call this Aomak, whatever it is. Beautiful name that I can't say, but it's a lovely scent. Does it smell as lovely as it looks? That's the question. If you're asking me, yeah, you probably have already seen a first impressions video I did on this fragrance where I sprayed it for the first time, and I was very impressed. I wouldn't say I was blown away in the sense of that it smells unique. It doesn't smell like anything else that came before it. Nah, it pretty distinctly reminds me of some Tom Ford fragrances like Mandarino di Amalfi Acqua, even a little bit of Neroli Portofino. Is that what they're going for? I don't know, but it doesn't smell like they're copying those fragrances. It just smells like it was created in that style of perfumery, this very citrusy, aromatic, floral style of fragrances. Lots of mint, lots of mandarin orange, some spices. You have this heart of florals like jasmine and neroli, lots of neroli here. So there's this clean, soapy, orangey feel throughout the scent. And as it dries down, it gets a little bit powdery, a little musky, woody. The orange citrus brightness kind of fades away. What I absolutely love in this is the mint and the mojito. There's a minty mojito, cooling, sharp, crisp vibe along with that juicy mandarin orange. And as per this video title, this stuff lasts and lasts on me. It isn't just this top heavy, super bright summery fragrance, even though if that's all it was, I would still really enjoy this. But it does happen to last 8+ hours on the skin, at least in my wearing, and I was smelling it with no problem. So no nose blindedness for me. Anyway, that is Aomak from Loumari. Really enjoying this stuff. If you want to check out any fragrances from this house, you can do so at their website and get a discount with the code FRESH10. Maybe grab some samples. I think you're gonna like what you smell, and I think you'll be more than satisfied with the longevity. Up next, we have quite a different fragrance from the one we just talked about. This is from Guerlain, one of my favorites from Guerlain that is not necessarily the most versatile, but if you want a very special occasion fragrance that is kind of a showstopper, very elegant, spellbinding, I would check out Encens Mythique. This stuff is magical to me. It is incense, as per the name, cooling, kind of smoky, but not in a fiery, warm or hot way. It's more like a contemplative, calming, and even meditative way. There's a lot of transparency to the smokiness here, blended with some rose and some fresh aldehydes. When you first spray it on, there's this clean feeling, but it's not necessarily a fresh fragrance. And the one thing you got to watch out for here in the dry down is some ambergris. It comes out more and more and more and more as it dries on your skin. So when you hit those late stages, I'm talking about 8, 9, 10 hours later, that ambergris gets a little bit animalic, a little tiny bit of funk in there. So be careful not to spray too much of this because you will regret it later. You may not think about it or even smell it right away, but later on you're gonna be like, man, all I have on my skin is kind of some animalic funk. As you can probably imagine, I made that mistake. Don't need more than a couple sprays of this one, and it will absolutely last in my experience, and it's definitely a great fragrance to wear for the evening time for more special occasions. No one else is going to smell like this but there's still something very accessible about it, especially in the air. It's just a beautiful scent. Let me know if you enjoy Encens Mythique as much as I do. Now, I shared with you a little bit of the polarizing nature of Encens Mythique, and this is even more polarizing, even from the first spray, so you have been warned. Even though I can easily say that this fragrance will probably perform well for most of you, I can't easily say that you're gonna love this like I do. From Cartier, we have Déclaration Parfum. I'm honestly surprised this hasn't been discontinued yet because I can see it not being everyone's cup of tea, but I am so glad that Cartier is still rolling strong with this. I assume people are buying it in some capacity, so they're gonna keep making it until that changes. It will be available. It's a special scent profile. This is grown man. This is confident, authoritative stuff. If you know the original Déclaration DNA and you like that, you'll probably like this. If you don't like that, you probably won't like this. And even if you do like it, you may still not like this. It is that fresh, spicy, bitter orange cardamom combo that you get out of the original, but with leather and resins and some funky cumin, really amped up here to give it a warm, spicy edge that is a tiny bit sweet and a whole lot of bold. This is not a grab and go scent. This is something you can wear day or night, yes, but be thoughtful about it, because if you spray too much, you're clearing the room. Not because it's too strong, but because the scent is a little abrasive in large quantities. But man, when you do no more than like maybe 3-4 sprays with this, and you're gonna have room for it to breathe, especially when it's not too hot, man, this is lovely stuff. Let me know what you think of Déclaration Parfum if you're one of the few out there who have tried it. Now we got this little guy. Cute little 10 milliliter bottle of Town and Country from Clive. A surprisingly well-performing fragrance. I did not expect to smell this for like 10 hours, but that's how long it seems to last on my skin. And it is relatively fresh in an odd way. It's a simple scent, but it's also kind of definitive. It doesn't remind me of exactly anything else, even though there's not a ton of moving parts here, even though there's not a whole lot of complexity. And again, it's a little bit on the fresh side, so it's fairly versatile, but some of you guys may not really get down with it. If I remember correctly, you do have quite a bit of clary sage, ambergris, and sandalwood. So similar to Encens Mythique, if you spray this a little too much, that ambergris, which smells very natural and real to me, can become a bit much. It can overwhelm, it can add this slight funky edge to the scent. Maybe a little bit less so than Encens Mythique, but it is in there. But all in all, at its best, it just adds this musky, salty airiness to the scent that moves through the scent profile, gives it some texture, gives it some lift, makes it hang in the air in a very particular way that's a little bit intoxicating. That clary sage adds a touch of an herbal sweetness to the scent. So if you do detect sweetness from it, that's most likely the clary sage, not like a vanilla or an amber or anything like that. It's again more of an herbal touch with some sweetness, and the sandalwood just adds smoothness, a little bit of a woody backbone. There must be other things going on in here that make this last as long as it does, or maybe it's just the ambergris. But either way, simple scent, smells fantastic. A little bit linear, doesn't change much, but that's okay. And it performs well, which is why it's in this video. That is Town and Country. Let me know if you dig this one. All right, if you're looking for a scent to wear for a romantic evening, date night, whatever it may be, this is a great one to consider. Technically unisex, but guys, don't be afraid of this one. If you want to smell delicious and smell delicious all night, you got to consider Tabac Rose from BDK. Easily one of the best fragrances they've put out. One of the most unique and definitive scent profiles they put out. It is unmistakable, and that's what I love about it. Rose, chocolate, tobacco. I think there might be a little bit of plum. So it's kind of juicy, fruity, but in a dark way with this earthy chocolate behind that. Definitely some opulent rose that's not too much in the foreground and not powdery, so don't be afraid of that. And the tobacco just adds this kind of rough, earthy edge behind it. Not really smoky, just a texture that really supports the whole scent. And ultimately, it smells delicious. It's opulent. It is mouth-watering. It's decadent, but also not overly gourmand. It's very alluring. And it can easily blow your date out of the water if you spray too much of it. A couple sprays, they'll smell you. That is Tabac Rose from BDK. Let me know if you're a fan. This fragrance has been on the market for almost 10 years now. I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon, and I think it deserves every accolade that it has ever received from Kilian and from one of my favorite perfumers, Sidonie Lancesseur. This is Black Phantom. Again, nothing new here. Also in that decadent realm of fragrances, gourmand leaning, delicious, sweet, but like Tabac Rose, has a dark edge to it, and maybe even darker. But what you get out of here, coffee, caramel, sugar, vanilla, sweet, rich, mouth-watering stuff with this warm coffee note in there, kind of like a dessert coffee in a way, but I'm glad it does still smell like something that belongs on the skin. I get some kind of leathery edge as it dries, this rough, dark leather that supports the scent from the bottom, kind of wraps it up more and more as it dries down. It's almost like this flower of leather closing around the sweet decadent elements until it completely encompasses them in the late dry down. And as with a lot of Kilian fragrances, lasts very well. That's all I really have to say about it. It's phenomenal and it speaks for itself. That is Black Phantom. Let me know what you think. At this point in time, this is the newest release from the house of Electimuss London. They sent this over to me recently. There's a lot of hype behind it, and I do like this stuff. I wouldn't say the scent absolutely wows me, and that's mostly because it didn't really meet my expectations based on the name and based on the presentation of it. And that's okay. I'm getting over that. As a scent alone, it's lovely. And as with most of Electimuss fragrances, performance is not even a question. This is one they call Astrum Nova. First of all, this bottle is a dumbbell. It's absurd. But what does it smell like? It does have this kind of creamy, smooth, ambery vanilla wood in the background. That is kind of a trend these days. It's not really all that new. You're kind of seeing it everywhere as a signature bass note accord, and it smells great. It's just everywhere. But what I like about this is what's on top of that. Mango, juicy, rich, dripping, tropical mango, which is not what I was expecting from a fragrance called Astrum Nova that definitely seems galactic, astronomic in its inspiration. So I wasn't expecting fruity mango to portray that. But aside from that, it's a great smelling fragrance that will smell appealing to almost anyone. It's really gonna deliver as far as performance goes, and that's why it's in this video. I wanna know if you've tried this one. If you haven't tried it, don't blind buy it. This stuff is very expensive. Get a sample. I'll link to what I can find in the video, on the video, whatever. But that's Astrum Nova. Let me know if you've tried it by now. And our final fragrance in this video is from Amouage. Many Amouage fragrances I could have chosen that easily fit this category, easily fit this criteria for me, which is, yes, fragrances that last a long time, but fragrances that I do actually get some functional wear out of. They're not overwhelming, and they smell phenomenal to me. And I just decided to go with this one kind of arbitrarily because I haven't talked about it a whole lot since it came out, and I think it's easy to overlook it because so much has already come out since, and it hasn't even been out all that long, maybe just a couple years. This is Jubilation 40. Jubilation 40. In my opinion, this is an upgrade to the original Jubilation 25, which is legendary. I know a lot of people love that. I know a lot of people have their heart broken with it because the performance has suffered in current formulations. I can easily speak to that. I have a newer bottle. It does not last very long, maybe no longer than 6 hours. That's really all I would need it for the occasions I wear it, but I know that's not good enough for a lot of you guys. So if that is the case and you're willing to shell out a few more dollars, and by a few, I mean a lot more than a few, then Jubilation 40 might actually be worth the money for you. You might actually get your money's worth. I think the scent is stunning. If you know Jubilation 25, it is here. It's just richened. It's more bold. It's more dense. It's more noticeable. It's just amped up. I'm not going to sit here and try to dissect the differences between the two because I think that is ultimately futile. And the reason why is because I think they're similar enough to where you don't need both of them. They are redundant to one another. Now, if you're the type of person who likes the function of like, well, I'll wear Jubilation 25 when I want that scent DNA and I don't want it to be overwhelming and I don't need it for very long, then I think that's a fine function. And when you want more performance, more presence, then the 40 version is a great one for those occasions. Cool. If that's you and you love the scent DNA that much, then I'd say go for it. Having both can have some function. But if you don't have either one and you're trying to decide on which one to get, then just take heed of what I just told you as far as the difference between the two. But in this video, we're talking about the 40 because it is the stronger one. It is the more long lasting one. It is that resinous, sweet, honey, blackberry, incensey, woody, just everything is in this fragrance. Regal is definitely the best way to describe it. It's amazing how such a complex fragrance can have such an undeniable DNA. Bertrand Duchaufour is the master behind this, and just like the original, he did a phenomenal job with this, somehow elevating it. There's a lot of pressure when it comes to redefining a legend, and I think he succeeded. Let me know what you think of this or any of these fragrances. Once again, they're linked in the description.